March 15, 1944. Deep inside the Japanese Naval Intelligence Headquarters at the ADA Communications Unit, Commander Atsuzo Kurihara felt a cold despair matching his bitter, untouched tea. For 18 brutal hours, Japan's finest cryptanalysts had battled the Phantom, American Marine Corps tactical radio traffic from the Marshall Islands. The patterns defied logic. The timings, the frequency, usage, everything pointed to structured military communication. Yet, the sounds themselves were an impenetrable wall, unlike anything in their extensive Allied code files. Kurihara commanded one of the world's most sophisticated signals intelligence operations, a sprawling facility near Tokyo employing 500 personnel with 118 radio receivers. His analysts had successfully broken America's diplomatic purple code and crucial British naval ciphers. For these new marine transmissions represented a 3-year-long, complete cryptographic failure mystery Kurihara and his team were fighting blind against. He was unknowingly listening to the only unbroken code in modern military history, the linguistic fortress. Diné Bizaad. The key lay not in cutting-edge American technology, but in the American Southwest. The Navajo people, or Diné, had preserved a language, Diné Bizaad, unlike any other. By 1940, it had approximately 170,000 speakers, confined mostly to the 27,000 square mile reservation. Its linguistic traits were a fortress against outsiders. Navajo is profoundly verb-centered, describing actions through complex prefix combinations that can number in the millions. It uses for distinct tones, high, low, rising, and falling, where a slight mispronunciation completely alters the meaning. Its phonology included sounds absent from Japanese and most world languages: ejective, stops, a voiceless lateral fricative that sounded like wind, and nasalized vowels. For Japanese listeners trained in a language with only 5 vowels, accurately transcribing these sounds was virtually impossible. Philip Johnston, a non-Navajo born on the reservation in 1892, fluently spoke Diné Bizaad, a claim fewer than 30 non-Navajos worldwide could make. Witnessing the improvised use of Choctaw speakers in World War I, Johnston saw a revolutionary opportunity. In December 1941, he envisioned a formal military code based on Navajo that would be both unbreakable and practical. On February 28, 1942, Johnston presented his idea to Major General Clayton Vogel at Camp Elliott, San Diego. The demonstration was stunning, for Navajos transmitted complex messages in just 20 seconds. A task that took the standard M209 cipher machine 30 minutes. General Vogel immediately authorized a pilot program, building the sacred code. On May 4, 1942, the original 29 Navajo recruits were sworn in at Fort Wingate, New Mexico. Men like Chester Nez and Carl Gorman came from diverse backgrounds. Some had attended government boarding schools where speaking Navajo was strictly forbidden and punished. They were now tasked with creating a secret code in the very language their country had tried to erase. For 8 weeks, working in a locked, guarded building at Camp Elliott, they faced a monumental task: developing terminology for modern warfare concepts that simply didn't exist in Navajo. They built the code on cultural logic and metaphor. A submarine became Beshwu, iron fish swimming beneath the surface. A battleship was Losowell, the ocean's largest creature. Fighter planes were Tahiti-high hummingbirds darting through air. The alphabet was the cleverest layer. To prevent frequency analysis, each English letter was assigned multiple Navajo words. For example, the common letter E received 4 alternatives. They developed 211 initial terms, all memorized perfectly. No code books could ever risk capture. Chester Nez later recalled, "We drilled endlessly. A mistake could cost lives." In our culture, words have power. Speaking correctly was sacred. Guadalcanal and the blind fight. The code's first test came at Guadalcanal in August 1942. 15 Code Talkers landed with the 1st Marine Division. Japanese intelligence having decoded other Allied communications, expected the invasion, but their tactical intelligence suddenly vanished. The Japanese 8th Fleet headquarters. Analysts scrambled. Lieutenant Kazuo Yamada, a Stanford graduate, reported, "The sounds are structured like language, but it matches nothing. Not English, French, Dutch, Spanish, any Philippine dialect, any Chinese dialect, completely alien." The Japanese responded systematically, assigning their top cryptanalysts and recording hundreds of hours of transmissions. They consulted university linguists and scholars for naught. On November 8, 1942, code talker Chester Nez transmitted artillery coordinates. The message took 14 seconds, quote, but remained meaningless noise. Okay. Within minutes, American shells fell precisely on target. Colonel Haru Konama, intelligence officer for the 17th Army, noted their despair. "The Americans have deployed a code that defeats every attempt. We are fighting blind." Joe Kayumiya, a Navajo soldier captured at Bataan in April 1942, became Japan's best hope. Though fluent in Navajo, he had no knowledge of the secret military terms. Japanese interrogators played him the recordings. Kayumiya heard Navajo words. "The turtle is attacking the iron fish, but in meaningless combinations." Torture water, beatings, starvation escalated systematically over months. Yet, Kayumiya could only repeat the truth. He understood the words, but not the military code. A Japanese intelligence report in May 1943 reluctantly concluded, "Assessment, either extraordinary resistance or enemy uses specialized code within native language requiring specific training." The latter was correct. Without the training, the code was unbreakable, even to a native speaker. The Code Talkers' strategic impact success at Guadalcanal led to immediate expansion. Major General Alexander Vandergraft wrote, "The Navajo communicators have proven invaluable. The hearings are faster than any encoding device and absolutely secure." By war's end, between 375 and 420 Navajo Marines had served across all 6 Marine divisions. The code evolved continuously. New technologies required new vocabulary, always based on cultural logic. The atomic bomb became Ayashi metal egg. Kamikaze pilots, Winnetti, Deathwind. By mid-1943, Japanese intelligence dedicated substantial resources. The Imperial Navy assigned 30 cryptanalysts exclusively to the transmissions for over 2 years. They tried innovative musical analysis for tonal patterns and consulted American-educated scholars. They identified certain call signs and correlation between message length and operation complexity, but lacked the core understanding of the words. Japanese forces were ordered to capture Marine communication personnel alive, offering rewards of 10,000 yen, a decade's salary for equipment. However, no code talker was ever captured with their equipment intact. The campaigns demonstrated their strategic importance. Tarawa, November 1943. 6 code talkers maintained communications for 76 hours of brutal combat. Saipan, 1944. 24 code talkers operated around the clock. Japanese commanders, who had anticipated the invasion through conventional intercepts, noted that their tactical intelligence disappeared once the Marines landed. Peleliu, 1944. Code talker Jimmy King transmitted for 6 hours during a counterattack, coordinating artillery from 3 battalions, sending 40 messages without error. Fatima. The battle for Iwo Jima represented the code talker's greatest contribution. General Kuribayashi had fortified the island for 2 years, constructing 11 miles of tunnels, relying on intercepting American communications to trigger his counterattacks. This plan failed completely because of the code talkers. Major Howard Connor coordinated the entire initial assault through the Navajo Code. 6 code talkers, working in teams, maintained continuous communication during the critical first 48 hours. They sent and received over 800 messages without error, coordinating the landing of 30,000 Marines, naval gunfire from 100 ships, air support, enemy positions, and tactical orders all under constant fire. Major Connor later famously testified, were it not for the Navajos, the Marines would never have taken Iwo Jima. Artillery requests completed in 20 seconds through Navajo would have taken 30 minutes conventionally. Colonel Shigo Hayashi reported to Kuribayashi that the American codes remained unbreakable. At Okinawa, 35 code talkers coordinated the largest Pacific assault, involving 183,000 troops over 82 days. Japanese attempts at jamming and voice mimicry failed. One attempt, according to a code talker, sounded like someone gargling while trying to talk. On August 14, 1945, code talker Teddy Draper transmitted the war's final major message: Niema Edijini Adno, Japanese surrender. Legacy, an unbreakable truth after the war. American interrogators confirmed the complete failure of Japanese intelligence. Lieutenant General Seizo Arasu, Japan's chief of intelligence, admitted, "We never broke the Marine Code. We broke Army codes, Air Force codes, diplomatic traffic, but the Marine Tactical Code was completely secure." Captain Yasuji Kawamoto confirmed they studied thousands of transmissions for 3 years, concluding, "It was our greatest cryptanalytic failure." The inability to read Marine communications after 1942 cost Japan thousands of lives. Major Hiroshi Tanaka, an Iwo Jima survivor, described the psychological impact. "We couldn't understand their words. It made us feel primitive, defeated before battle began." The program remained classified until 1968. The code talkers returned home as heroes who could not reveal their heroism, often returning to states that denied them voting rights until 1948, New Mexico and Arizona. In 1957 Utah, they were finally recognized in 2001 when President George W. Bush presented the Congressional Gold Medals. To the original 29, only 5 survived to attend. While the Navajo are most famous, 14 other tribes contributed code talkers, including 17 Comanche code talkers who landed on D-Day in Europe. The code talkers proved that America's greatest encryption was its human diversity. The language that government boarding schools had tried to eliminate became the key to winning the Pacific War. Their legacy is eternal. They achieved a code never broken, never compromised, demonstrating that human linguistic capability, rooted in culture, can exceed mechanical encryption. As the last code talkers pass into history, Chester Naz, the last of the original 29, died in 2014. Their message endures. America's strength is not industrial capacity alone, but the many voices, peoples, and languages, united in purpose, but strengthened by their differences. The unbroken code proves that diversity is strength, and that indigenous knowledge serves modern, vital purposes.